We're looking at a piece today that uses this surprisingly perfect metaphor.
Oh, this one's good.
It compares your managed IT service provider to a romantic partner. And, at first that sounds a little funny,
Bit of a stretch, maybe.
right?
Yeah.
But the deeper we get into this, the more accurate and honestly, the more painful that comparison really becomes.
It's one of those things that, it starts as a joke, but then you start checking off the boxes in your head and you realize, oh, wait, this is actually my life.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive into a blog post called Managed IT Services in Arkansas and Oklahoma. Ever had an IT relationship that felt like a bad date?
Hmm.
And it is specifically looking at businesses in Northwest Arkansas, the River Valley, and the Tulsa metro area. But the dynamics here, they feel pretty universal.
Absolutely. For anyone trying to run a business today, and our mission here isn't just to, make fun of bad dates. We want to really analyze the psychology of this client-vendor relationship. We need to figure out why business owners stay in these toxic technical partnerships, what the real operational costs are, and why, and this is my favorite part, why boring is actually the ultimate goal for your technology.
Boring is the goal. I love that. I want to get to that because it sounds so counterintuitive. But let's start with the bad date setup itself. The source paints this picture of the honeymoon phase ending and, reality setting in. You call for help, you just get silence.
Or they fix something and it breaks again the very next day. It's that inconsistency that just grinds you down.
Well, here's the part I struggle with, and maybe you can help me understand the psychology. If I'm dating someone and they ghost me for 3 days, I'm done.
Right.
But in business, the source points out that owners stay. They rationalize it. They say things like, well, they're cheap, or, oh, they're just really busy. Why do smart people put up with this?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's usually not about affection. It's about fear of the unknown. We sometimes call it the switching cost fallacy.
Okay, unpack that for me.
A business owner looks at their whole IT setup, their servers, their email, all their passwords, and it just feels incredibly complicated and fragile. They think, better the devil I know than the devil I don't. So even if their current provider is awful, the idea of handing all the keys over to a total stranger feels even riskier, so they make excuses.
Like, well, at least he knows our system.
He knows how to kick the server in just the right spot to make it work again. Exactly. But the source highlights this huge paradox here. These owners are continuing to pay providers they do not trust anymore. Just think about that. You are paying a monthly invoice to someone you don't actually trust to pick up the phone.
Wow. When you put it like that, yeah. And it doesn't start that way, does it?
Yeah.
The source talks about the drift.
Right. It's rarely a disaster from day one. You sign up with a provider, maybe it's a small shop or even a one-man band. And at first, it's great. They're hungry for your business. They answer every text.
Honeymoon phase.
Precisely. But then two things happen. One, the provider gets more clients and they get stretched thin. But more importantly, your business changes. Especially in regions like Northwest Arkansas or Tulsa. These are huge growth areas.
So you're not staying the same size.
You're adding people. Your tech stack, which is just, all the software and tools you use, gets way more complicated. You suddenly have compliance needs you never had before. And the guy who was great when you had 5 computers is just drowning now that you have 50.
And that is when you start hearing the excuses, we'll take a look when we can.
Which is just code for, you are not my priority today. And this is where the dynamic really shifts from partnership to just survival. The business starts adapting its own operations around the provider's failures.
That phrase is key, adapting around the provider. Let's talk about what that looks like. The source brings up the voicemail black hole.
This is the most common one.
You leave a message. You send an email with urgent, in all caps. And then you just wait and wait.
And while you're waiting, your business is often grinding to a halt. We have to realize that. If IT is down, usually production is down. Cash flow stops.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. IT people are busy. If I'm a small business, can I really expect them to drop everything every time my printer jams? Isn't there a hierarchy?
That's a fair point. And yes, there's always triage. A server being down is more important than a printer. But there's a huge difference between triage and just ghosting. A professional provider, an MSP, they should have a system. You get a ticket number. We've received your request. It's a level 3. We'll be with you in 4 hours. Something.
It's communication versus silence.
Correct. The black hole is the silence. The source compares it to a date texting, I'm on my way, and then just vanishing for 2 days. It's a total lack of respect.
And when they finally do show up, the source talks about something called the arrogance factor.
Ah, the classic IT guy trope. We've all seen it.
Yeah, that attitude of, Well, I'm here now to save you from your own incompetence. The source lists phrases like, you wouldn't understand, or my favorite, try not to do that again.
That last one, try not to do that again. It's so toxic. It implies the user, broke the multi-million-dollar system on purpose.
Right. Like I woke up this morning and thought, it'd be fun? Crushing the entire accounting system.
It's basically gaslighting. It makes a client feel small, feel stupid for asking for help, and that's dangerous because it discourages people from speaking up. If I feel stupid every time I call for help, I'm just going to stop calling.
And that leads us right into what the source calls the workaround trap. And honestly, reading this part gave me a little bit of anxiety because I think we've all done this.
Oh, absolutely. It's just human nature when you're trying to get a job done.
This is when the team stops calling because it's too much of a hassle, so they invent their own solutions. They call it shadow IT. Can you explain what that means day to day?
Shadow IT is basically any tech or software that employees are using without official approval or knowledge from the IT department.
Okay, but that sounds kind of sinister. In reality, isn't it just people trying to get their work done? The source mentions emailing files to a personal account because the shared drive is down. I mean, if I have a deadline, isn't that just me being a dedicated employee?
You are being a dedicated employee, yes, but you're also creating a massive, massive liability for the company. Let's take that exact example. You email a sensitive client spreadsheet to your personal Gmail to work on it at home.
Right.
Okay, now that data is completely outside the company's control. What if you quit next month? The company has lost custody of its own data. Or worse, what if your personal Gmail gets hacked? Now that client list is on the dark web and the company doesn't even know it's been breached.
Okay, when you put it that way, that is terrifying.
It creates these quiet disasters. The source mentions other things too, like sharing passwords over text messages because the official system is too clunky, or buying random software tools on a corporate card just to finish a project.
There was one story in the source that I thought was just wild. The Wi-Fi anecdote.
The 2 p.m. drop. Yeah.
An office where the Wi-Fi would just die every single day at the same time. And instead of calling IT to get it fixed, the team just silently agreed not to schedule meetings in that room after 2 p.m.
That is the ultimate sign of a broken relationship. They just normalized the dysfunction.
They just worked around the dead zone.
And think about that lost productivity. You're paying for expensive real estate, a conference room that is unusable for 5 hours a week, and nobody reports it because they've lost all hope it'll ever get fixed.
So we've got the emotional toll, the security risks, the operational drag. Why does this happen? Is it just a bunch of bad IT providers out there?
The source argues it's more structural than that. It's the difference between what we call the reactive model and the proactive model.
Okay, let's get into that. What exactly is the reactive model?
We often call it break fix. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Something breaks, you call them, they come and fix it, and then they send you a bill for their time.
It sounds pretty fair, though. I mean, I only pay for what I use. If nothing breaks, my bill is zero. What's wrong with that?
It sounds fair on the surface, but the incentives are completely misaligned. In a break-fix model, the IT provider only makes money when you are in pain.
Oh.
Yeah. If your systems ran perfectly forever, they'd go out of business. So whether it's conscious or not, they have no real incentive to do the deep preventative work that stops problems before they start. They're just putting Band-Aids on everything.
So they'll patch the server, but they won't rebuild it to actually be stable in the long run.
Exactly. And for the business owner, it creates these wild, unpredictable costs. One month, your IT bill is tiny. The next month, it's $5,000 because a critical server died. You can't budget for that.
So the alternative is this managed services or proactive model.
Right. That's where you pay a flat monthly fee for everything.
And I'll be the skeptic again here. As an owner, I look at that fee every month and I think, man, everything is working fine. Why am I paying this? I feel like I'm paying for nothing.
And that is the hardest psychological hurdle to get over. But you aren't paying for nothing. You are paying for silence. You are paying for the absence of problems.
The absence of problems.
Think of it like fire prevention versus firefighting. Firefighting is chaos. It's loud, it's destructive, it's incredibly expensive. Fire prevention is, installing sprinklers and checking the wiring. It's boring work, but it means the building doesn't burn down.
So what's the IT version of a sprinkler system?
It's 24/7 monitoring that spots a problem before it becomes an outage. It's automatically updating all your software so hackers can't get in. It's testing your data backups every single night, not just hoping they work when you desperately need them. It's all that quiet background work.
And this brings us back to the core idea of the article, which I teased at the start. The idea that boring is good.
The joy of being boring. I love it.
We usually think of boring as a bad thing in business, right?
Yeah.
We want to be agile, exciting, disruptive. But you're saying for our core infrastructure, we want a total snooze fest.
100%. If your IT is exciting, it probably means you're in the middle of a ransomware attack or a massive data loss. Excitement is bad.
So what does a healthy, boring relationship actually look like? If you're a business owner listening right now, what are the signs you've actually reached that boring bliss?
The source lists a few key things. First, your systems just behave during crunch time. It's the end of the quarter, it's payroll day, and things just work. No drama. Second, your files live in one clear place. You're not hunting through 5 versions of a spreadsheet on 3 different people's desktops.
That alone sounds like a dream.
And third, compliance is just handled. You know the logs are there, the backups are good. You don't have to sweat it when an auditor calls.
There's a quote in the article that says, the real sign of a good relationship is that you stop thinking about IT most days.
That's it right there. That's the takeaway. As a business owner, you only have so much brain power, so many decision calories in a day. If you're spending them worrying if the server is going to crash, you aren't spending them growing the business.
So the ROI of a good, boring provider is getting the CEO's headspace back.
Exactly. It removes that entire mental load.
So we've covered all the bad date signs, the ghosting, the arrogance, the workarounds. If a listener's nodding along right now thinking, oh no, this is me, I'm in a toxic IT relationship, what do? Breaking up is hard.
It is hard, and that fear of transition is very real. But the source suggests a really low-stakes first step. They recommend getting a free managed IT risk assessment.
Okay, risk assessment sounds a little scary. Is this going to be painful?
It shouldn't be. Think of it less like a tax audit and more like a health checkup. Or, to stick with our metaphor, it's like having one coffee date before you decide to get married.
Checking for chemistry.
And checking for reality. A good assessment just looks at your network and gives you the honest truth. Hey, did you know your backup failed 3 weeks ago? Or did you know you have computers that are no longer getting security updates?
It's about getting an objective baseline of where you really stand.
Exactly. You can't fix what you refuse to look at. And a good provider will do that for you to show you where the holes are so you can see the value in actually fixing them.
As we wrap this up, I want to leave everyone with the big question the source poses at the end. I think this is just such a great gut check.
It really cuts through all the technical noise.
The question is this. If your IT provider was a person you were dating, would your friends be telling you to break up with them?
It's funny, but it's so true. If you told your friend, yeah, he never calls me back, he makes me feel stupid all the time, and he just disappears for days on end, your friend would be screaming at you to leave.
They would be staging an intervention.
They absolutely would.
So why on earth do we accept that from a service we pay thousands of dollars a year for?
We shouldn't.
We really shouldn't. You deserve a boring, stable, reliable relationship, at least when it comes to your servers.
Boringly reliable. That's the dream.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Hopefully this helps you spot some of those red flags and maybe find a little more peace of mind in your business.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.